Hello and welcome to another episode of the AutoTrader Podcast. My name is Wandile Sishi. I started that weird.
And I'm George Mienie.
I was busy reading and trying to think, and
Did you forget your name?
multitasking is just the worst.
Did you forget your name?
No, I remembered my name, but I was trying to get everything else out of my mouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're probably still having flashbacks of my braids.
Yeah, actually, I hope we can put a photo up of that. Do you think you're going to do that for like the rest of the holidays?
I think I'll do it during the holidays.
Yeah.
I won't do it permanently, but it was very convenient.
So if anybody doesn't know, we're talking about George's, he decided to get some braids
last
on
week.
Friday.
Yeah. I just wore it for the weekend.
Yeah, and I think he looked great. I think it's something that he should definitely.
This is just because I look
out.
like Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You look great. Anyway, so this is the last episode of the of the year. So I thought maybe we could kick off the episode the same way we do every single year for the last 2 years now by speaking by an armored vehicle. I don't know why that keeps happening, but last year, literally the last episode we did, we spoke about an armored vehicle.
You're we're
And right now, yeah, we had I think it was ArmorMax or one of our dealerships we're talking about armored vehicles. So I thought maybe we can talk about the car that we're currently what the content team is reviewing, which is the G400 Stronger Than Time, the G-Wagon. And I heard you're going to be driving it actually.
Yes, so I'm going to be taking it home today.
Yeah.
Apparently, this car weighs about 3 tons.
Yeah, but just about 3 tons.
3 tons, and the armoring of the vehicle is about 1 ton.
Yeah.
So the vehicle naturally is about 2 tons. This adds another 30% to the car's weight.
Yeah. But this is the highest, I think it's B6 armoring, right? So this is the highest you can get without like...
I had a look at it just now. My goodness. I mean, the car even squats differently. It's like it's got serious heavy pressure on that suspension.
So yeah, I'm curious to understand exactly how you feel about the vehicle, but the team's going to be doing lots of reviews and there'll be some articles on exactly how...
I'll tell you after I've driven it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we have a photo of it. Do we have a photo of it? Hopefully we'll put it up at some point. I think the team is going to do exactly that. But yeah, really excited about that. And it got me thinking.
They'll do some magic here.
Yeah, they will all in B-roll and, the team does a great job.
C-roll, D-roll.
But it got me thinking, if you were
Fat roll.
Sushi roll, all the rolls. It got me thinking, if you had to be in a zombie apocalypse, what car would you use?
This B6 armored variant of the G-Wagon has a high caliber assault rifle R1 and AK-47 protection. So you won't be able to get through this car with an AK-47. Light armors, it will stop a handgun.
Yeah.
And we saw because we had the
we had a little bit of the different
glasses. In the studio was it the end of last year?
Literally a year ago. Yeah.
Wow, I remember that show.
Yeah.
So this is the highest level of protection.
Yeah.
AK-47 bullets not going through that car. It's available to the public without special permits.
Yeah, that's the biggest difference between this and I think last year we had it was an EV actually, an armored EV. So this is the highest level you can get on an armored vehicle, which I don't know if you.
It's run through the armament. So all the doors are armored with 16mm aramid composite panels. The glass is 37mm thick. That's almost 4 centimeters. 37mm thick. The entire cabin is protected by 8mm ballistic steel. That's 8mm ballistic steel. That's thick steel. On the firewall, cabin and engine, the A, B, and C pillars. The A pillar straddles the windshield. The B pillars are in the middle of the passenger compartment, just behind the front door. And the C pillars are those at the rear of the passenger compartment. The battery box has 8mm ballistic steel protection, so you can't shoot the battery. All the door hinges are upgraded to carry an additional armoring weight, and the suspension and brakes have been upgraded.
I tried to close the door in the vehicle and it was like not normal.
No.
It wasn't like the same sort of.
Strangely
process.
enough, the G-Wagon is pinned as one of the perfect options to survive a zombie apocalypse, as you say.
I read a few articles and it kept coming up. which is kind of the reason why this, I'm kind of segueing into that point, is this might be the perfect vehicle for it.
Yeah, I mean, let's just talk about how zombies operate.
So the one thing that came out was sound. So, because zombies in movies at least are always attracted to like noise and stuff. So I don't know if this vehicle would help with that. Whereas like an EV, for instance, would be a great option to be undetected in a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, I mean, the EV will just glide through the area silently.
But would it be the safest thing? I don't know.
But can you drive over a zombie with an EV versus the G-Wagon? I reckon you'll drive over the zombies with the G-Wagon. That's important.
Driving over zombies is important during an apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
I think staying undetected is
because if there's a bunch of them in front of you, you just drive into them and then over them.
Rather take them out than try and let them stay.
No, but you want to get out of the area, right? And they're going to surround you. Because they're going to come from all directions.
This is the most bizarre thing. Usually I'm the one who's defending, what's it called?
EVs.
Gas guzzlers. But now I'm the one who's defending EVs, which is bizarre. But I think an EV might actually be a better option for this.
Yeah, I'm not defending the EV. I'm just saying the G-Wagon is a big vehicle. It's high up. It's 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
EV is also 4-wheel drive, but if I think about, the Jaguar I-Pace, it's a car.
Here's my
drive over
argument.
a zombie with a car.
Here's my argument. Your EV can also double as a power source, whereas an internal combustion engine vehicle, when you run out of petrol, you run out of petrol. You could hook up some solar panels on your car. You could power your little compound, and you can get around silently. EVs are the way in terms of surviving.
Mad Max of the future.
100%.
I'm going to feel like Mad Max driving this G-Wagon.
Yeah, no, for sure. You must definitely call me when you're in it. Something we'll also always do at the end of the year, George, is talk about some of the cars which have impressed us the most. And we used to do Car of the Year, but I thought maybe we can unpack some of our standout performers this year. Is there a car or a few cars that you want to spotlight in terms of being either game-changing or iconic or just a car to look out for?
So, I mean, I can only speak to the cars I've actually driven.
Yeah.
Versus the cars I haven't driven. The cars I've actually driven. The one that stands out to me is the Mercedes-Benz EQS.
Okay.
It's just a nice vehicle to drive. It's just luxurious.
Yeah.
That stands out for me. I'm not saying that that's the car of the year yet. A funky car that I drove was the Kia, the Kia battery electric.
I remember that. Yes.
What else did I drive that stood out to me? The Aura Funky Cat.
So I was about to bring that up. That's
Aura,
came up by 3 people who have actually driven the car recently. Told me that that's one of the strangest experiences they've had in a vehicle.
I wouldn't make it the car of the year for me because I think it has a design flaw.
Yeah.
In that it wants to constantly, if you put your foot flat, I mean, not if you drive like a normal person. If you put your foot flat, it wants to wheel spin. Okay. Whereas every other EV I've driven hugs the road. It could be 2 things. 1, front wheel drive. Okay, so it's a front wheel drive EV. 2, where are the batteries? I think the batteries are in the engine bay. A lot of the batteries are in the engine bay as opposed to low center of gravity under the floor.
Yeah.
And the car rolls a lot, which tells me that the batteries are higher
up than kind of
it's a very, very high roll rate, and it understeers. So if you take a corner really quickly, it understeers, so it starts to slide.
So the Auracat's supposed to be, I guess, GWM's answers to the South African problem of EVs being too expensive.
It's 800 grand. So I think it's a brilliant car. I think it's worth being on the top of the list, or should I say on the top, 5 of the list. The funky car, it's really cool to drive. It's just got this roll that I don't like.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just personal too.
These are all three cars that you mentioned were EVs. Is there anything?
Yes. No, I've only driven EVs.
Yeah.
This is the first time I'm taking the G-Wagon, which is not an EV.
In my list, I have the Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid. Just from an attention point of view. And
yes, I drove that the other day.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, sorry, I forgot about the Toyota Corolla
It has to
Cross.
be on the list.
It has to be on the list. Absolutely.
It's such a perfect vehicle for multiple sort of scenarios you can be put in.
Yeah.
It ticks a lot of those boxes, and I think consumers loved it. The industry loved it. It's just a great vehicle. So for me, it's definitely up there. And our personal favorite for me is definitely the M2, the new BMW M2. Loved it. So that's up there. But can we talk about a list without talking about the Polo and the Ranger? Do you think that the new Ford Ranger specifically is going to remain the top selling car in South Africa, or do you think the VW Polo is going to get its throne back?
We're a bucky country and people want SUVs. I think the Polo is always going to be popular. But, if you think about the potholes on the roads, the disrepair that the infrastructure is going under, I would imagine that people are going to opt for buckies and SUVs more and more and more.
Yeah.
Maybe entry-level students coming out of university, getting a first job, that's where the Polo kind of fits. But it remains to be seen. I think the Polo will always be an iconic car because of the GTI.
Yeah.
It's a pocket rocket.
100%.
But with EVs, if EVs prices come down, the Aura Funky Cat,
still too expensive.
It's 800,000 rand. Too expensive.
Yeah.
It's still too expensive. It needs to be under 500,000 rand.
Yeah.
Okay. You can pick up a Mini electric, which is supported by BMW for 650.
I think it's 50. Yeah, I can't remember the price, but it's
between
cheaper, yeah.
650 and 700, I think. And so you can pick up a mini electric for that price. I think the moment the electrics start coming under 500,000 rand, the Polo will be under pressure.
Car that we spotlighted last year was the Haval Jolian. I don't see it as much as I used to. I thought that was going to be like the popular thing that's going to.
It is. It's an incredibly popular car, but I think again other variants have come out that, like the Toyota Corolla Cross.
Yeah.
That have kind of probably taken some market share from them.
100%. But it has been an absolutely incredible year for those markets.
I'm trying to think of other cars I've driven during the year. I've had a number of cars. I've had the Volvo.
Yeah.
I've had both the C40 Recharge as well as the...
Did you have you didn't have the XC. That's not...
I did have the XC as well, the plug-in. Yeah. I'd say the C40's up there.
Yeah.
The thing that puts me off the C40, everything's positive about that car, right? The thing that puts me off the C40 is the infotainment system is not yet upgraded. It's still old school Volvo infotainment system. So I think that's going to change with the EX30.
EX30, yeah.
It's going to change significantly. So I think Volvo's on the right path. So I would have chosen the Volvo had it not been for the infotainment system. I'm leaving you all hanging to know which one
kind of reigns
supreme. And it's difficult because they're all good cars.
Yeah.
They all have my personal bugbears. The I-Pace has to still be there.
Okay.
Not just because I drive an I-Pace, but
this is your car of the year for 2023. You can't have, the I-Pace again.
They're still selling them.
It's cheating.
There's little that beats the I-Pace for price and value.
Yeah,
I think there's little that beats it. BMW, the iX3, that I think is really good value for money.
Yeah,
very good value for money. Yeah,
come on, you got to boil down to one car. Which is George's car of the year? Just one.
Just one. Just one.
You're not going to tell me.
I am. I'd say it is between the Mercedes-Benz,
okay,
the one I damaged the rim on,
I heard about that story.
Yeah, the EQ and the BMW iX3.
Okay,
Okay,
that's fair enough.
I'd say those two are my equal competitors for the year.
Mine has to be the Toyota Cross Hybrid.
I didn't spend enough time with the Toyota Cross. I think if I had the car like those, if I had the car for longer, I just took it literally for a drive.
Fair enough. But let's see what happens next year. It's been an incredible year, and a lot of the cars that came out this year were great. So yeah, let's see what happens in the coming year, 2024.
So it wasn't Armamax that gave us the G-Wagon. It was SCW Group.
100%. Yeah. So I was speaking about VW earlier on. I don't know if you saw the story that recently dropped. It wasn't a story. I think it was an interview. But the VW international brand boss recently gave a warning to the country that if we don't get our act together, it wouldn't be sustainable for them to remain a manufacturer in the country. And you've been to that plant, so what do you take when you kind of read about the story? What do you do? Do you agree with him that there's some challenges that we have right now, and what is the potential risk in VW potentially leaving?
It's massive, and this is kind of the warning that we've been sounding for the last 3 to 4 years. This is a move that, if happens, will turn us into another Australia, a car importer.
Yeah,
we will lose thousands of jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Our economy will suffer. Already 6 to 7% of our GDP comes from exporting the cars we make.
Yeah.
I think there's even more than that in GDP in terms of the rest of the value chain, up to parts and secondary applications. What about commercial vehicles? So this is a scary thought. I mean, one of the biggest brands in the country, one of the most popular brands in the country, now saying, get your act together, otherwise we leave.
There are a few things that he spotlighted as the reason. So the big one is, one, we're kind of slow with regards to our EV shift. I think, I don't know what the relation is between, as a manufacturer of EV vehicles and being sustainable in the market that you kind of produce in them. I don't know where the connection is in terms of the local markets purchasing those cars, if you are an exporter. But he spotlighted that as one of the key things. That and just the sort of unrest that we have in the different, sort of...
South Africa sort your situation out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, one of the biggest car brands is going to potentially think about exiting. That's what you're telling me.
100%.
And I see Schaefer spoke a lot about South Africa becoming a powerhouse for battery manufacture. Like, why are we not talking about that more? We've got all the minerals on this continent. Why can't we manufacture batteries? The rest of the world needs these batteries. It makes sense to manufacture.
Yeah. I mean, you've been to that plant. Do you see that?
Phenomenal job.
Yeah. You've been there. You've seen how well it works. You've seen the thousands of people who operate there and the impact that it has. I agree with you. I think it will be a complete loss. Plus, it will make VWs more expensive. Ultimately, that's what's going to happen.
VW will,
specifically the vehicles they produce here.
We only produce the Polo and the Polo Cross, right? I think it's the Polo and the Polo Cross. Only two, and the
GTI.
Well, the GTI is a Polo, so we only produce two vehicles here. The rest are imported. All other VWs are imported. It just means that those two will also be imported. Then what is Ford going to do? What is Mercedes going to do?
Yeah, it's going to kind of start off and set off a precedent that's, the rest of the manufacturers are going to see and think.
I mean, Ford's already invested. They invested in in the industry. What was it? 4 billion.
Yeah.
Ford seems to have put down their roots. But who knows? I mean, we've got to get this right. We've been sounding this warning bell for long.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see what happens. I don't think it's gonna. If it does happen, it's gonna take.
No, I don't want it to happen. Don't go.
But yeah, we'll see what happens next there. So just before I leave you, obviously the season is now finally done. I say finally because it's just been a painful ride for me.
Why? Because Hamilton's losing.
No, not even. I think I can deal with Hamilton losing, but I love racing, and this year has been a very, very challenging experience as somebody who just loves the sport. It's not nice to
I think it's
see-
been. I mean, Verstappen's run away with it.
Yeah.
But I've seen more passing in this season
Oh, for sure.
than I have in any other year before it.
But the passing didn't amount to anything that mattered.
Yeah,
Just
but that's
the one
because
who was
Red
winning
Bull-
was just so far ahead.
Red Bull was just so far ahead. Although I've got to say, it is the driver.
Who? Max. Of course.
It's definitely the driver because look at where Perez
Perez
is.
was, yeah.
Perez is nowhere.
Yeah. No, he didn't do much.
So definitely they got that combination right. If they didn't have Verstappen, I reckon Red Bull would have been fighting for the win.
No, I agree. There was rumors as well that Hamilton and Horner were in discussion about him kind of moving over.
But he squashed
but he
that.
said no.
Yeah, he squashed that.
So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, he's signed in for another year, but as a whole, I'm hoping that next year is going to be a year where Max does get a proper challenge, because this year was just tough.
I think right guy, right car, they gelled.
Mm.
And he took it.
100%. And finally, before I leave, so we just want to...
Did you say that before the Formula One?
No. I said there's two more things.
Oh.
This is the very last thing before I leave you for the final time. Let me have this, Joe. It's my last show. So so the AutoTrader Podcast is actually going through a major update right now. Obviously, we've been doing this for a few years now, and we want to produce something that anybody who watches and listens enjoys. So it's always good to kind of refresh and find new ways. So we'll be doing an updates with that new show coming out next year. But whilst it's happening, if you guys have any suggestions with regards to what you want to see, what you didn't like, what you liked,
Format, look and feel,
the works,
persons on the
this is your
show,
ultimately,
guests, jingle.
who knows what else is going to change. But yeah, give us your suggestions. And for the last time this year, I'll see you next time, George.
Adios. Have a good December.
Yeah.
Search AutoTrader.